Good morning, बच्चों. In the series of this lecture, today we will discuss about the Article 21. Article 21 is right to life and personal liberty. According to this article, no person shall be deprived of his life and personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. But before we discuss about this concept, we have to know this basic principle that the right to life does not merely mean the continuance of a person's animal existence, but a quality of life. It means the fullest opportunity to develop one's personality and potentially to the highest level possible in the existing stage of our civilization. It means the right to live decently as a member of civilized society. It is to ensure all freedom and advantage that would go to make life a beautiful. The right implies a reasonable standard of comfort and decency. When we see the provision of Article 21, we see that the provision says that no person shall be deprived of his life and personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. In their earlier decisions, the Supreme Court gave a narrow interpretation to the expression personal liberty used in Article 21. The first case in this regard was A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras, wherein the petitioner, a leader of the Communist Party, was detained under the Preventive Detention Act 1950. In this case, the Supreme Court took a literal view of expression personal liberty and held that since the word liberty was qualified by the word personal, which was a narrower concept, the expression personal liberty did not include all that was implied in the term liberty. So interpreted, the expression personal liberty meant nothing more than the liberty of the physical body and freedom from arrest and detention, from false imprisonment or wrongful confinement. Later, in Kehar Singh versus State of UP, a six judges bench of the Supreme Court did not follow the above restrictions, which was interpreted by the Supreme Court in the case of A.K. Gopalan, and held that personal liberty was not only limited to bodily restraint or confinement of persons only. The court observed that personal liberty is used in Article 21 as a compendious term to include within itself all the varieties of rights which go to make up the personal liberty of a man other than those dealt with in the several clauses of Article 19 Clause 1, while Article 19 Clause 1 deals with particular species or arbitraries of that freedom. Personal liberty in Article 21 takes in the comprises the resides. In this case, the petitioner Kharak Singh was charged in a Dakayati case but was released as there was no evidence against him. However, being suspicious of his position, the police under the UP police regulation opened a history sheet for him and imposed on him surveillance, which included secret picketing of his house by the police and domiciliary visits at night and verification of his movements and activities. He was thus visited by the police in the night time and again for the purpose of making sure that he was staying home or whether he had gone out. In this case, the court laid down that an unauthorized intrusion into a person's home and the disturbance caused to him thereby violated his right to personal liberty, enshrined in Article 21. Thus, the regulation authorizing domiciliary visits was violative of Article 21, as there was no law on which it could be justified, and hence it was struck down as unconstitutional. We can refer a case, Man versus Ilyas. This is an English case where the court defined the life by the term life as here used. Something more is meant than more animal existence. The inhibition against its deprivation extends to all those limbs and faculties by which life is enjoyed. The provision equally prohibits the mutilation of the body by the such type of functions which are mainly for that purpose to become a life meaningful, dignityful, and give a happiest movement in the person's life. In the continuity of these all things, the one more important case is the Menka Gandhi versus Union of India. In this case, a 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court expanded the horizons of expression personal liberty and gave it the widest possible meaning. In this case, the court held that the expression personal liberty in Article 21 is of the widest amplitude and it covers a variety of rights which go to constitute the personal liberty of a man, and some of them have been raised to the status of distinct fundamental rights and given additional protection under Article 19. In this case, the court expressed that in order the fundamental rights were correctly interpreted, the attempt of the court should be to expand the reach and ambit of the fundamental rights rather than to attenuate their meaning and content by a process of judicial construction. One important thing is that it may be noted that while in Kharak Singh case, the freedoms of Article 19 Clause 1 were excluded from the scope of personal liberty of Article 21. But according to Menka Gandhi decision, they are within it, and form part of personal liberty. It follows that a law depriving a person of personal liberty has not only to stand the test of Article 21, but it must also stand the test of Article 19. In this case, the court explained the law must therefore now be settled that Article 21 does not exclude Article 19, and that even if there is a law prescribing a procedure for depriving a person of personal liberties, and there is constitutional no infringement of the fundamental right conferred by Article 21. Such a law is so far as it abridges or takes away any fundamental right under Article 19 would have to meet the challenges of that article. It has now been held that no freedom is higher than personal freedom and no duty higher than to maintain it unimpaired. This is the beauty of Article 21. In this time, this article is the way of the dignity of life, and by the decision of Supreme Court, so many rights are included in this article. In this time, the scope of Article 21 is more enough in the comparison of in any article. We can say that the most important article is Article 21, and all the rights of a human being is included in this article. We can understand these things with the help of some cases which are decided by the Supreme Court. For example, Sunil Batra versus Delhi administration. In this case, right to life included the right to lead a healthy life so as to enjoy all facility of the human body in their prime conditions. It would even include the right to the protection of a person's tradition, culture, heritage, and all that gives meaning to a man's life. A constitutional bench of the Supreme Court reiterated with approval the observation and held that the right to life included the right to lead a healthy life. In the continuity of this, a more important case is Confederation of Ex-Servicemen Association versus Union of India. In this case, Supreme Court says that Article 21 includes the right to live in peace. So, sleep in peace and the right to repose and health. It means the importance of this case is this, that we can say that Article 21 includes the right to live in peace, to sleep in peace, and the right to repose and health. After this, the next case is People's Union for Democratic Rights versus Union of India. In this case, The Supreme Court said that non payment of minimum wages to the workers is the violation of right to life. And in the continuity of this, in Bandhua Mukti Morcha versus Union of India, it is the fundamental right of everyone in this country to live with human dignity, free from exploitation. This right to live with human dignity, enshrined into Article 21, derives its life breath from the directive principle of state policy, and particularly Clause E and F of Article 39 and Article 41 and 42. And at last, therefore, it must include protection of health and strength of the workers, men and women, and of the tender age of children against abuse. Opportunities and facilities for children to develop in the healthy manner and in conditions of freedom and dignity. Educational facilities, just and human conditions of work and maternity relief. One more important thing which is protected by the Article 21 is the sexual harassment of women at workplace. In the case of Visakha versus state of Rajasthan, the Supreme Court said that the sexual harassment of women at workplace is the violation of our right to life under Article 21. Sexual violence, apart from being a dehumanizing act, is an unlawful institution of the right of privacy and sensitivity of a female. It is a serious blow to her supreme honor and offends her self esteem and dignity. It is a crime against the entire society, a crime against basic human rights. It has therefore been held to be violative of the victim's most cherished of the fundamental rights, namely the right to life contained in Article 21. In the case of State of Punjab versus Ramdev Singh, the Supreme Court says that sexual violence, apart from being a dehumanizing act, is an unlawful institution on the right of privacy and sanctity of a female. There are many things which are declared under the right to life by the Supreme Court. For example, Hussain Ara Khatun, in the case of Hussain Ara Khatun versus State of Bihar, Supreme Court says that speedy trial is the right to life under Article 21. In the case of D.K. Vasu versus State of West Bengal, Supreme Court says that inhuman treatment at the time of arrest by the police officer is the violation of right to life under Article 21. In this case, court laid down detailed guidelines to be followed by the central and state investigating and security agencies in all cases of arrest and detention till legal provisions are made in that behalf as preventive measures. In the case of MC Mehta versus Kamal Nath, the Supreme Court says that The right to life under Article 21 has been interpreted to mean a life of dignity to be lived in a proper environment free from the dangers of disease and infections. The right to life under Article 21 has been interpreted to mean a life of dignity to be lived in a proper environment free from the dangers of disease and infections. Clean surrounding lead to the healthy body and healthy mind. Maintenance of health, preservation of the sanitations and environment have been held to fall within the preview of Article 21 as it adversely affects the life of the citizen and it amounts to so poisoning and reducing the life of the citizens because of the hazard created if not checked. The right includes the right of enjoyment of pollution free water in sufficient quantity and air for full enjoyment of life. If anything endangers or impairs that quality of life, a citizen has right to have recourse to Article 32 for removing the pollution of water or air which may be detrimental to the quality of life. The municipal corporation are held to be under statutory duty to provide the clean environment to the society. Therefore, any disturbance of the basic environment elements, namely air, water, and soil, which are necessary for life, would be hazardous to life within the meaning of Article 21. In the case of Murli Deora versus Union of India, Supreme Court says that smoking in any form in public place is held to be illegal, unconstitutional and violation of Article 21, which includes maintenance of health and environment. In the same way, we have the right against noise pollution under Article 21. In noise pollution, it is said by the Supreme Court that human life had its charm and there was no reason why the life should not be enjoyed along with all permissible pleasures. Anyone who wished to live in peace, comfort, and quiet within his house had a right to prevent the noise as pollutant reaching him. That while one had a right to speech, other had a right to listen or not to listen. That nobody could be compelled to listen and nobody could claim that he had a right to make his voice trespass into the ears or mind of others, and that nobody could indulge into aerial aggression. Taking serious notes of this means the court issued detailed directions for spreading awareness about noise pollution. Now we will discuss about the right to education, which is also covered by Article 21. In the case of Mohnijan versus state of Karnataka, or before this case, we have to remember the case of Bandhuga Mukti Morcha versus Union of India. In this case, the Supreme Court, while interpreting the scope of the right to life under Article 21, held that it includes educational facilities. And after that, In Mohnijan versus State of Karnataka, the court referred to Bandhua Mukti Morcha case and held that right to life was the compendious expression for all those rights which the court must enforce because they were basic to the dignified enjoyment of life. The court further observed that the right to life under Article 21 and the dignity of an individual could not be assured unless it was accompanied by the right to education. The court thus declared the right to education flows directly from right to life. Reiterating the above judicial pronouncement with approval, the majority of the Supreme Court in Unikrishnan versus State of Andhra Pradesh held that the right to education was a fundamental right under Article 21. The right was, however, not an absolute right, and that its content, the parameters had to be determined in the light of Article 41 and 45. The, this was the observation of court. These observations of the apex court have been acknowledged and incorporated by the Constitution 86th Amendment Act 2002. And by this amendment, a new Article 21A is inserted in the Constitution and declaring the right to education an independent fundamental right. In the same way, the right to know or right to information is under the right to life. In the case of SRIL Limited versus Halar Utkarsh Samiti, the court said that there is a strong link between Article 21 and the right to know, particularly where secret government decisions may affect health, life, and livelihood. After it, the most important thing is honor killing. So, we have to know about the right against honor killing. In the other words, we can say the freedom of choice of marriage. You can ask that why I say this freedom of choice of marriage. What is the link between honor killing and freedom of choice of marriage? Because this is the root cause in the society. When the persons of the society wants a scope in their options for marriage and they want to marry in other caste, the problem is created in the society and the honor killing is generated. By the way, we have come to our point, holding that an inherent aspect of Article 21 would be the freedom of choice in marriage. In re India women says gang raped on order of village court on behalf of a newspaper report relating to gang rape of 20-year-old women on the orders of community panchayat as punishment for having relationship with a man from a different community. Besides awarding compensation to the victim, the court directed the state to take long-term measures to curb such crimes. A division bench of Allahabad High Court in Sujit Kumar versus State of UP's case took serious notes of harassment, ill treatment, or killing of a person who was a measure for wanting to get married to a person of another caste or community, for bringing dishonor to family. Since intercaste or intercommunity marriage was not prohibited in law, the court said that such practice of honor killing is a blot on society. The court therefore directed the police to take strong measures against those who committed such honor killing. The next point is under Article 21, which is important, that no right to die or to commit suicide. For example, if we have right to speak, then we have also right to silence. But in the continuity of this, we can't say that if we have right to life under Article 21, then we have also the right to die under Article 21. We can't say this, and we can't claim for this. Section 309 of the Indian Penal Code 1860 punished a person convicted of attempting to commit suicide. There had been difference of opinion on the justification of this provision to continue on the statute book. But a 5-judge constitutional bench of the Supreme Court in Gyankor versus State of Punjab has put an end to the controversy and ruled that Section 309 IPC was neither violative of Article 21 nor of Article 14. The court held that the right to life under Article 21 did not include the right to die, overruling the decision of the Division Bank of the branch of Supreme Court given in P. Ratinam versus Union of India. The constitutional bench observed in this case that when a man commits suicide, he had to undertake certain positive overt acts, and the genesis of those acts cannot be treated to or be included within the protection of the right to life under Article 21. The court held that right to life is a natural right embodied in Article 21, but suicide is an unnatural termination or extension of life, and therefore incompatible and inconsistent with the concept of life. Attempt to commit suicide is said to be typically an emotional and impulsive act. In this case, the Ratinam case, the court held Section 309 IPC to be a cruel and irrational provision, deserved to be effected from the statute book. The court had said that Section 309 IPC might result in punishing a person again doubly who had suffered along and would be undergoing ignominy because of his failure to commit suicide. It was further said that an act of suicide could not be said to be against religion, morality, or public policy and had no beneficial effect on society. What was needed to take care of suicide prone person was soft words and wise counseling, and not stony dealing by a jailer following harsh treatment meted out by a heartless prosecutor. Referring to a physician cited suicide or euthanasia cases, The five judges bench said that the disability of bringing about such a change was considered to be the function of legislature by enacting adequate safeguards to prevent any possible misuse. The court referred to the 42nd report 1971 of the Law Commission, where the commission had held the view that section 309 of IPC is harsh and unjustifiable and should be replaced. To give effect to the Commission's recommendation, a bill was introduced in 1972 in Rajya Sabha to repeal section 309. But the bill lapsed with the dissolution of the Lok Sabha, and no attempt has been made as yet to implement the recommendations of Law Commission. The recommendation of the Commission, as also the debate on the desirability of retaining such a penal provision, the court said, were not sufficient to indicate that section 309 of the IPC was unconstitutional, being violated of Article 14. At last, a constitutional bench of Supreme Court in Gyankar vs. State of Punjab has put an end to the controversy and ruled that section 309 IPC is neither violative of Article 21 and nor of Article 14. In this case, the court held that the right to life under Article 21 did not include the right to die. In the continuity of this topic, euthanasia has been declared legal in Netherlands, Switzerland, Thailand, and some states in America. It has been said that living on identically or life support like a vegetable with terrible pain leads to untold consequences for both the patient and the kins. In Aruna Ramchandra Sanbag versus Union of India, a writ petition was filed under Article 32 by one Mr. Pinky Virani, claiming to be the next friend of the petitioner, who had been alleged to be in a persistent vegetative steps for the last 30 years, praying that the respondent be directed to stop feeding Aruna and let her die peacefully. The petition related to the constitutional validity of euthanasia or mercy killing. The subject was dealt with in detail by Honorable Justice Markandeya Katiju of the Apex Court, referring to the state of law in this regard. The word over the Justice Markandeya Katiju was the general legal position all over the world seems to be that while active euthanasia is illegal unless there is legislation permitting it, passive euthanasia is legal even without legislation provided certain conditions and safeguards are mentioned. In the instant case, the appellant Gyankar and her husband were convicted under section 306 of IPC for abetting the commissions of suicide by Kulwant Kaur. On 9th March 2018, a constitutional bench headed by the Honorable Chief Justice Deepak Mishra, laying down a set of guidelines for the purpose, recognized the individual's choice to live. In their landmark verdict, the top court empowered an individual to decide his fate to in case he is going to slip into an irrevocable comatose state. The individual can draft a living will, and his relatives and doctors will be obliged to execute his option for death the court said, stating that the right to die with dignity was a fact of right to life and liberty guaranteed under Article 21. The court says right is meaningless unless it encompasses within its space individually and with dignity. A person suffering from terminal illness has right to refuse medical treatment to avoid protected physical suffering. Okay, students, you have more things, many things, and a lot of cases under Article 21. It depends upon you that how much you can study. There are a series of cases, and it will be beneficiary for you if you choose the cases with the help of your textbooks and read the contents and facts of that cases. So please carry on and continue this article with the help of your books. Okay, thanks.